consistent. Which
What
one
do
is
you
it?
think of the player and the signing?
I wouldn't want him at Man United. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he doesn't.
He doesn't float your boat.
No.
He didn't float my boat.
None of the footballers float my boat in that way. But he doesn't. I think if you go into the perfect system, and I guess Arsenal are playing kind of the perfect system right now, it can work. If you build your team maybe around him, it can work. But I think he's got so many deficiencies, especially as a defensive midfielder in the Premier League, that unless everything is perfect around him, all of those come to the fore. And I think Chelsea fans have seen that. When Kante is not there, he is a completely different player. Even though you've got someone like Kovacic who's maybe next to him, who's a very good player, because his Kovacic's characteristics do not perfectly complement what Jorginho can't do, so the physicality and those kind of things. His deficiencies get highlighted. Mm-hmm. For Arsenal, the way that you're playing and all the players are ticking, and it may work. It may be a brilliant signing, but there's a reason why his contract was running down at Chelsea. They have no reason to keep
When
it.
I heard about it, immediately I started getting visions of Willian. Seriously, I just thought it's another Willian.
Yeah, but I think this is different. I think this is. Do you know what?
Is it different, or is it just Arsenal are top of the league?
You defended the Trossard signing.
No, I've been very defensive of the Trossard signing because I think that's a very good signing.
No, I agree.
And
I agree.
Look,
even though it kind of fell into our laps.
It did fall into your laps, but at the same time, you were smart enough to go and get it done. It's a good player to add to your roster, and the whole point of this window, in my opinion, for Arsenal was to add strength in depth. You know, if someone gets an injury, you have good enough cover. And for me, that's what Jorginho is. They're not bringing him in on £12 million to be a starter and to.
He might have to be. If Partey gets injured tomorrow, Jorginho's leading you to the title.
He might have to be. However, he's not been brought in for that job. He's been brought in as to bolster your squad, and I think that is a smart bit of business. Yeah, okay, you missed out on Mudryk. Maybe you'll get him in another 5 years' time when he leaves Chelsea. Fine, but I think that I still think that. Just because it's another one that's come in from Chelsea, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. You were looking at your options. Who else were you linked with? You couldn't have gone and got Caicedo because they don't want to sell Caicedo. And the thing is, you can't make someone sell someone if they don't want it. If the club don't want to let you go, and I've seen that with Harry Kane. You can't physically go if the club say no. So for me, I'm like looking at your options. Jorginho, his Premier League experience. He talks about his Ballon d'Or a few years ago. I mean, I know we're not talking about that now.
I wasn't talking about it then. I don't know why.
We're not talking about it now.
Disgrace.
But at the same time, I still think that there's a lot to be said for having someone that has also won titles.
I think the Ballon d'Or argument, the Ballon d'Or argument is redundant. Let's be honest. I mean, listen. I think we all agree that 2 months in football can sometimes seem a long time, let alone 2 years. 2 years is ancient.
I think Arsenal win the league with or without Jorginho. Well, so him joining, it's like, well, I'd rather win the league than be sitting in 10th.
It's for squad depth. Like, I don't understand what the big thing is about it. I get it, it's not a superstar player that you wanted to bring in, but, unless you're Chelsea, there's not been many superstars in January that are doing much, or bringing in for the amount of money that people are going for in this window. And I think, why would you want to go and spend so big in this window if you don't necessarily have to?
No, you know what it is, Abby?
They did want to, but they didn't in the end, and then they did smart signings.
I'll tell you what, if at the beginning of the window, you went and got Trossard and Jorginho. You said that's what we really wanted. It's a bit of squad depth, boosted the squad, and we go. But you wanted Mudryk and you wanted Caicedo. That's big money, stellar signings who obviously have got the longevity as well in terms of their age. Now, of course, if you can't get them, getting something like Trossard, like Jorginho is better. So you kind of say, all right, we couldn't get what we want, we take it.
Yeah.
But what I guess my thing is more in the Arsenal fans is like, let's call a spade a spade. Say what it really is. You wanted Caicedo, you didn't get Caicedo. Yeah, beggars can't be choosers. Let's not try and gloss it up and start bringing up his stats and comparing. Actually, he's better than this person because I don't care if it says he's got the same amount of recoveries as XYZ. He can't run.
Okay,
I've watched him for the last.
You raise an interesting point because no sooner had we signed him than I was online and I was speaking to Chelsea fans who obviously watch him week in, week out when he's playing because he's not really starting for Chelsea. And they said that, listen, the guy's legs have gone. Now, I heard James articulate his performances in the Euros and 2-3 years ago, fine. But as I said, 2-3 years ago is a long time in football. And I have to say that it's a very underwhelming signing, man.
You know what I look at defensive midfielders in the Premier League, and obviously we know he's not the best, and yeah, he can boost the squad, and I said he's better than El Neni and better than Lokonga. But if you look at Fabinho, Rodri, Casemiro's come now, all of those can do the passing and all that kind of stuff like we've seen, but the physicality element of it is so important. Why we talk about them being either the best defensive midfielder in the world at the time or best in the league or whatever it is. Fabinho now lost that physicality and he's not the player that he was. Jorginho's never had that physicality. So again, if you build the perfect team around him, then yes, he can work. But then I would ask, is he worth building the team around?
But I don't think we will be building.
You're not building the team around him.
I think we'll just be saying.
It's sorry to interrupt you. It's just like saying that you're not going to build a team around Wout Weghorst. It's literally.
I'm not like the Man United fans who are trying to.
But it's literally the same thing. It's like
I agree.
you brought in. Wait, hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. It's like you bring in Wout Weghorst.
Got you on that.
No, she didn't.
Because it's the exact same thing. You bring in Wout Weghorst to do a job for you on a short-term loan, right? They've signed Jorginho on an 18-month contract for 12 million. It's a no-brainer. It's to bolster your squad. Someone that's actually played Champions League football. Arsenal haven't even had Champions League football for God knows how long. They need that mentality of someone that has won the Euros, played at elite top level. It doesn't matter if his legs might not be what they used to be. He's been brought in to keep that mentality going and to do the job when he's needed to be doing it.
Wout Weghorst, and when we signed Wout Weghorst, I said to the Man United fans who were trying to basically polish a turd, I'm not saying we shouldn't have signed him, but let's call it. No, but I'm being serious. I'm not saying we shouldn't have signed him because we needed it because Martial's always injured and Ronaldo left. So you need a body. You can't play a game with 10 men. It is a 6 foot plus turd. But let's call it what it is. It's a very underwhelming signing. It
is.
And we just need to make the best.
It's underwhelming, but it's smart.
No, but that's all I'm saying.
It's a smart signing.
It's a necessary. It's a necessary.
Let me tell you,
I don't think it's smart.
when Spurs were in that title race all those years ago under Harry Redknapp and we needed someone, I'd have loved to get Trossard and Jorginho. We ended up with Ryan Nelson and Louis Saha. So that's a bad.
Saha was a good player.
Yeah, not at 33.
You know what it is? Somebody, I think it was Curtis. Shout out to Curtis. He's probably watching this. He made a very interesting point on his live today. He was saying that, listen, had we been in 6th place and we were fighting to get in the top 4, I wouldn't have too much of a problem with it, is what he was saying. And I know where he's coming from. He's saying, but we're 5 points clear in the title race ahead of City, who are a formidable side. So our target at the moment is, let's be honest, we want to win the title. Bringing in Jorginho, who, let's face it, has seen better days. I don't care anybody. I don't care how many stats people want to reel out, how many Ballon d'Or nominations they want to talk about. The fact is, this man cannot get in a Chelsea team that's 10th in the table at the moment and struggling.
That's not true. He plays for them.
Yeah, but is he a regular starter?
Yeah, every
maybe
Chelsea
maybe that's why they're 10.
No, he's not a regular starter. Is he currently a regular starter?
Yeah.
Did he play in their last game?
I think he played more recently, but
I don't think he's been starting every game, Joe.
Well, I hope he was, because I said with real conviction.
Because the Chelsea fans that I spoke to today said it's not been starting.
But you touched on something very interesting there, which is the Chelsea element. Now, like anything, we've signed a Chelsea player. I thought, let's go do my research. But not just, I've been watching this guy. I want to know from Chelsea fans. What I found really, and let me just make it clear, I'm also underwhelmed by this signing. I'm also a little bit like, with the targets out there.
Sorry, Jake, can we just clarify? So Abby's the only one happy with this signing?
No,
and she's a Spurs fan. Interesting.
No, I just think it's smart.
That we did something, but
I'd rather they didn't sign Trossard.
Yeah, he started 15 Premier League games this year, by the way.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so still a lot. So
that's what
with I was speaking to Chelsea fans. Let me read you what Matisse has said, because we were texting earlier. He's giving me permission to read this out. He says, Jorginho, very specific, but he's very good for possession-based sides in terms of build-up, upgrade on El Neni Lokonga, needs pace around him off the ball, wins a lot of tackles and interceptions in close quarters, makes sense. In transition, that's when you're in big trouble if you open up too much, but he's brilliant in Europe. A little bit inconsistent in the Premier League, perfect as Europa League starter and come off the bench in specific scenarios. So, okay, that's all right. Doesn't sound too bad. But if you look at what other Chelsea fans are saying, I'm speaking to Ellie, who we've seen on DR Sports many times, big Chelsea fan. I was looking at Carefree Lewis on Twitter as well, listening to Rory Jennings. Loads of people have said, you know what? This is a good signing for Arsenal, and we're actually quite sad he's leaving Chelsea, because behind the scenes, this is something Ellie was saying, he's a massive personality, he's a massive character that brings things together. And these are the things that Arteta has really valued. I've always thought, why is he so fixed on Granit Xhaka? I don't get it. But there was something behind the scenes that he added, as well as just doing what was asked of him on the pitch. And like Abbi said, if Partey were out now for 3 months and we had to address that position, I'd feel a little underwhelmed. I'm thinking, well, that's our midfield seriously slowed down. We've lacked that physical presence. I'd be a bit worried. But it's El Neni who's got the long-term injury, and Jorginho's come in just to do a job. I'm sure he's got the hunger to try and get us over the line for a Premier League title. I'm sure he understands his role in the squad. But also, let's not also underestimate his quality on the ball. I was at the at Stamford Bridge when we won 1-0. We beat Chelsea. That last half hour, once we got the goal, you remember it, Laurie, we didn't sit back and try and protect what we had. We passed. We just killed them with passes after that. You can't touch the ball. And that is where Jorginho comes in and absolutely doesn't stifle anything. If anything, maybe lifts it, because Partey, as good a passer as he is, can be a little all over the place with it sometimes. So I think there's a player here who, you touched on it earlier, Neeks, had we started the window, we got Trossard, Jorginho, okay, well then that was part of the plan, then fine. But I slightly disagree with that, because Arsenal showed ambition in 2 positions. They wanted to go to 85, 90 million with Mudryk, but Chelsea beat us to him. They wanted to go to 70, 75 million with Caicedo, we couldn't do the deal. So they've gone, okay, we'll just go to the tier below. And I think fair enough, they've done something rather than leaving it.
I think you're right, and I think